You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
You're probably a bit confused right now. I broke the glass. It's all come back to me.
This. What is this?
That's my ship.
What?
Let me take it from the top. Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm a traveller in space and time. And that thing buried down there is called a TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. You're gonna love this.
Hey there, Earth Station Who listeners, and welcome to another episode. That's right, folks, we are back, and it is our last review episode before new Doctor Who. That is right, folks. Next week, you get new episodes of Doctor Who. But before then, we are going to be talking about the Seventh Doctor and Mel. And the Seventh Doctor is going to be here to talk about Paradise Towers. And it's going to be a lot of fun to do. This was actually my first time watching this one. So it is going to be interesting to see. And we've got a full house tonight to talk all about it. Of course, let's welcome our guests tonight. Of course, Dr. Scott Viguie is here.
Hello, everyone.
I had to invite you because you're such a huge Seventh Doctor fan.
I am. But Paradise Towers?
Well, it was either that or Ghostlight, and I think Mike Gordon would strike if we did Ghostlight. So
Fair enough.
Yeah, so, I think, it's going to be fun to talk about, and it's great to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
And we also have the return of Dave Chapman to the show. Welcome, Dave.
Hello. Hello.
Good to have you back on the show.
I'm glad to be back.
I gave you a list of shows that you could possibly be on, and you said, I want to be on Paradise Towers. I definitely need to be on that one.
I'm a Seventh Doctor fan too, so.
Yeah.
He's attracted to the swimming pool.
Yeah. He was trying to get to the swimming pool also. So.
Yeah.
So understandable. And of course we have our regulars with us. Let's welcome, of course, Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
We are so glad to have you here, Mary.
Oh, I am so happy to be here. Well, sort of.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, it is Paradise Towers.
It is Paradise Towers. And then, of course, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
So this doesn't, bode well for you with, even more Seventh Doctor stuff. Him not proving to be one of your favorites.
I guess we should have a disclaimer before we really get into this episode about I probably will not be kind to this. to
anything about this?
To anyone associated with this story.
Trigger warning.
Warning.
Yeah.
So you might want to shut off now or fast forward to the end when we give our ratings and, you've been warned, basically. But we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. How are you guys doing? Are you looking forward to the new season of Doctor Who, which is only a week away? Woohoo! Woohoo! That's right. And we are, going to be starting our reviews next week. But definitely would love to hear from you guys. Feedback at ourstationwho.com is the way to get in touch with us. We also have an amazing Facebook group. And we have kind of made some small minor changes to the Facebook group, and we're putting up Doctor Who memes, putting up Doctor Who stories, and hopefully getting more and more of you folks out there to pay attention to us, as we like to say, because Earth Station Who is the place to be for all Doctor Who type of stuff. So it's pretty awesome with that. And definitely, as we like to say, if you do listen to us and do like us, please leave us 5 stars wherever you listen to us. It would be appreciated. And if you didn't like this episode, still give us 5 stars, but make them sarcastic stars. We would really appreciate it. So definitely check us out. We definitely appreciate you guys, and definitely thank you for listening as always. Let's hop into some Doctor Who news, since we got Doctor Who coming back next week. Yep, we do. I had to look at the calendar just to make sure and pinch myself. Halloween, October 31st. Doctor Who is returning. And we actually have a full season of one story, basically. 6 parts, called Doctor Who Flux. Are you guys good with that? Or, they're naming each chapter? Because they could have just done, each
Flux
episode,
1, Flux V1, Flux V2.
Exactly.
I love that we've got those individual chapter names. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's a little bit of an old school format with the serialized, despite the fact that it's an hour, not a half hour. But
right. But they also did name each one of Trial of a Time Lord too. So.
Yeah,
but I wasn't going to try to go there either. But it's. I'm very much looking forward to seeing these stories. I've been jonesing for new Doctor Who and meeting the new companion, because we've pretty much been told about the new companion since the New Year's special last year. So it's almost a year that we've been wanting to meet Dan. So, are you guys excited about that?
Can I also really, call shenanigans on the BBC and BBC America, because this episode, the first episode, is called The Halloween Apocalypse. And you can't tell me it just coincidentally is going to premiere on Halloween. I think the BBC and the BBC America and everybody associated with Doctor Who has known it's going to be on Halloween, premiering on Halloween for probably at least 6 to 8 months. And yet they were all scratching their head going, we don't know when it's coming back. We're not going to tell you. We don't know. It could be any time. But it's obvious to me that they were making this a plan to work with, to have a Halloween special, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence. I think that's just shenanigans on all of their parts. So I don't know why we had to wait so long to find out when it was going to premiere.
Well,
which is odd, because Halloween is not something that's celebrated so much in the UK. I mean, it kind of is, but nothing like in the United States, Yeah,
but I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think the BBC is just awful.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go
I'm not saying you're wrong.
It is awful.
Yeah, well, there goes us getting the news stories anymore. Yeah, thanks, Mike. The opinions on this show are the souls of opinion of the individuals, not of the show itself.
I'm not saying that Mike's wrong. I'm saying that it seemed odd to pick a special date that isn't something special for the UK itself. It just seemed a little odd. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Obviously it's a worldwide thing. So, their target is just as I think the BBC, if they got more Americans to watch than Brits, I think they would be really happy with that outcome as well. But in any case, that aside, am I excited for Sunday? Hell yes. It's new Doctor Who. It's a chance for Chibnall to do his last big run. This is supposed to be the way he wants to go out, with a big long story, or at least 6-part story, to tell it his way. He is the writer of every single one of these episodes, so this is all on him. And now we get to see what his true vision of Doctor Who is.
I mean, it is a format that works better for him.
I believe so.
Judging by prior, prior efforts, non-Doctor Who related. So, I don't know. I'm hopeful. Maybe it's silly, but
no. I mean, the focus.
Hopeful.
The focus of keeping it as connected has got to help some, I would think. And who knows? Is it a trick? Is it a treat? We'll find out.
That's a good way to put it, actually.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to get a rock.
Right.
2 rocks.
Exactly. But you know what? Chibnall aside, everything else aside, it's Jodie back. And that's a good thing.
That alone is worth it. I mean, at least we get to see Jodie.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I know from talking separately from each one of you guys, we're all big fans of Jodie here on the show. And, to this day, I still wish she would stay. I would love to see her with RTD, at least for one season.
Oh, yeah. That would have been amazing.
I think
Well, with the 60th coming up, there's got to be a chance for something.
Do you really think she's going to want to come back that soon, though?
Yep.
You do?
For the 60th, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You don't think they'll just have a wax dummy of her like they did?
Supposedly she's already done. She's already filmed her part of the regeneration scene, and she's done. So this is. I know she's probably got like other things to do, and of course publicity and press and all that kind of, probably some overdubs and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, her run as the Doctor has come to an end. Yep.
They made the announcement that her regeneration scene has already been filmed. Filming for her has ended. And, in an interview with her, she says, she doesn't have a clue who the new Doctor is. They haven't brought that in yet. Because she said, when she filmed her scene, she didn't meet Capaldi then. They filmed it 2 different times. And, so, she said she never met Capaldi till like 6 months after she started.
Right.
As the Doctor.
These regenerations aren't done with like practical effects?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because everyone knows how to glow, so it's okay.
Yeah. Although even if she knew, she wouldn't tell us. So
no.
So, but I mean, it is interesting. So, but yeah, she's done. So this is it.
Nope, exactly. So we have that to look forward to next year, her regeneration. So don't plan on seeing it at the end of these 6 parts. Because few people have been going, is she regenerating at the end of it? No, it's like, no. We have 3 more specials after the end of the season is over. Mm-hmm. And so we'll probably this time next year be seeing, her regeneration. So it would be cool. I did like when we were doing our talk about RTD a few weeks back, how someone had brought up, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we don't see her regenerate? And, it just ends, the Doctor disappears, she's glowing, and then she goes off and into the world or something. And the first part of the next season is some old companions coming back to try to find where the Doctor is. And not knowing who the Doctor is and everything. And that way, the way to introduce it. I think that would have been a great idea.
Theoretically, they could still do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything that would be out of that conversation. That was my time of going, ooh, that sounds really good.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Husbands of River song, where River doesn't recognize the Doctor until it finally dawns on her, right?
And he goes, hello, sweetie.
Right, exactly. Finally, it's on his. He gets to do it. So.
I do wonder how patient audiences would be with a series that the Doctor wasn't in, like at the beginning of the season. Like, how many episodes are you going to wait until you be like, okay, let's get the Doctor on here?
Oh no,
I'd be surprised if we get more than one.
First episode.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
would love to see a whole 2-3 episode, like a whole giant story arc of no Doctor. But there's still the Doctor there that we just don't know.
That's not going to happen.
I love that, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they aren't going to
Too slow.
That.
And wouldn't it be great if they then showed that it was Graham all along as the Doctor?
I knew it.
That's what we're all hoping, dude.
So I think that would be the perfect way to do it. It's like...
That
would just be like, we knew it. But, I don't think Doctor Who is that smart to do that kind of stuff. This is why there's fan fiction.
It would be a slap in the face to Jodie too. So.
Oh, of course it would.
Yeah,
that's
totally
not fair
would.
to her at all.
No.
Yeah,
no, and
completely undermine her run.
Exactly, and it would have been the whole thing would have been, it was just the whole time it was a 2-Doctor serial, So, and then when the whole thing with Dr. Ruth. And, then it would have been 3 Doctors. So,
yep.
So, but then, if she is who she says she is. No, I think she is, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So we also we got the title of the second chapter of Flex, and it's War of the Santarans. I wonder who's going to be in that one.
Dalek episode.
Yeah, I think it's the Dalek. I think it's the Cybermen. I think so. Could work.
Weeping Angels.
Yeah, that or the Paternoster gang is back. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you think we might actually
one of
see
them.
the Rutons? How about the Rutons? Right? If it's the War of the Santarans, they're usually fighting the Rutons, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
call
very
it.
true. That or trying to invade Gallifrey. So.
Right.
But they're all Cybermen now, so. Oh, well. So,
Oh my God! then the Santarans will be all cyber. We'll have cyber Santarans.
Cybertons.
Oh.
Cybernetic
No.
potato heads.
Mike, what did you do?
I can't get it out
Parts
of
of
my
just
head.
cyber everything's. Cybermen take over the series by episode 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll get a cyber doctor.
Cyberman.
a cyber doctor.
And then the next doctor wakes up and it was all a dream.
Exactly.
Right. Comes out of the shower.
Exactly.
It was Graham.
Exactly.
Comes out of the TARDIS swimming pool.
Yeah,
Right.
Graham comes out of the pool.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
So, all right.
We can dream.
Just get that sexy leg shot, you know, that's just
Exactly.
dripping. You get slow pan up. Wait a minute. It's Graham.
What, you were expecting somebody else?
You were looking for a doctor, but it was not the one you were expecting.
This never happens to the other guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there's some goofiness going on because we're excited and we're giddy for new Doctor Who. And we're all looking forward to it. And so our plan is to be coming to you weekly for the next 6 weeks. We'll be talking about Doctor Who, and it should be a ton of fun. And we'll be, bringing whatever news stories we can find, or we'll be just doing reviews. And we'll have a different, bunch of folks with us each week to, keep it fresh and keep it interesting. And you'll have Grumpy Mike and Grumpy Mary and Grumpy Mike.
I don't want to be grumpy.
It's Chibnall, dude. We have no choice.
Well, we'll see.
We hope.
Trying to go in with an open mind.
We could see. Fingers crossed. So definitely. And then we will be wrapping up the season. We could officially announce it right after, I think, the new year. We will be doing a live episode, and we will be doing a season 13 review. And so we'll be doing that as a Facebook Live. So that should be...
That'll be fun.
That'll be fun to do. And then right after that, we'll be at the New Year's special. So hopefully they'll be...
Is that confirmed?
That they're doing the New Year's special? Or that we're doing the Facebook?
There is a New Year's special.
Yeah, they've announced it already.
Yeah.
So that's the first of the specials with Jodie. So...
So after that, only 2 more.
Exactly. And what they're saying, it's going to look like it's going to be mid-spring. People are calling it like the Easter special, but, those of us who don't celebrate Easter call it the spring special. So, And then we will have the 100th anniversary of BBC, and that's the final episode with Jodie in it. So... Assuming.
And are they going to be arrogant enough to send her back 100 years to launch the BBC?
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Tesla will be there, right?
Right. She'll meet up with Clara.
Exactly. Clara and me will show up to help, launch it in the diner. That's where it'll start.
And then Graham wanders through.
Well, duh.
Thank God.
And someone leaves a note that says, "Don't erase the tapes."
Exactly. And they'll be like looking, what are they talking about? Get that, giant magnet out now. So, all right. So I think that's it. With any other Doctor Who news we want to talk about real quick, or are we good?
Did you see the little snippet of Bishop?
Yes.
There was like a little video.
I did see that earlier today.
I mean, it showed us nothing really.
No, it was basically his introduction. And it's like, I'm sure, we'll see more of that on Sunday. And
yeah, I'm sure it's a clip.
Oh, exactly. So There's theories going on about him and some of his surrounding characters that some of them are going to be, recurring. So I don't know what they're planning though. So I'll be very curious to see what happens, and let's just have fun with it. Fingers crossed. Let's take a quick break, and we will be back. And we got Paradise Towers in front of us, guys. Let's start heading up to the swimming pool.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Tony.
Do you like ads about podcasts?
You know it.
How about ads about Doctor Who podcasts?
Even better.
Well, you're in luck, because this is an ad about a Doctor Who podcast.
Wow, I love it.
And you'll love us, the Watch-A-Thon of Rassalon, a podcast about Doctor Who.
I'll buy 12.
Actually, it's free.
I'll buy 13 then.
Welcome to Dr. Geek's Laboratory.
Dr. Geek here with another reminder that the ESO Network is pro-science and pro-vaccine. We urge you to be a superhero and protect yourself, your family, and your fellow geeks around the world. Don't be fooled by the forces of evil and their anti-science misinformation campaign. Consult the latest CDC guidelines, your doctor, and get the COVID vaccine today.
Welcome back to Earth Station Who, and now we are talking about Paradise Towers. It is the second serial of the 24th season of Doctor Who, which ran in 4 parts from the 5th of October to the 26th of October, 1987. So that is literally 24 years ago to the day that we are recording on.
I think that's a first for us.
That is a huge, huge first. And so 34 years exactly ago, we got to see the architect at work. So
I know that speaking for myself, I know that I was elsewhere.
Oh, I was too.
I was nowhere near Paradise Towers in 1987 of October 87.
No. No, I didn't come into the Seventh Doctor era until Ace started. That's when I started picking. I think Dragonfire was one of my first ones I had seen of Sylvester, and of course I fell in love with Sophie right away.
Yeah, that was fortunate that you missed this season.
Yes, and so
going from Chibnall to JNT.
I mean, it was still in the States. It was still running on PBS, right? And it was nowhere near like even close to when they aired in Britain, right?
Correct.
You got lucky if they showed this on PBS at the time, because they were still just doing mostly the Tom Baker era, and then during Pledge Drive they would show newer episodes.
I don't remember watching this on PBS.
No, I didn't get to see this until they started coming out on VHS, or friends of mine would be getting bootlegs from the UK, and we were watching it in the dorms, because that's or at cons. They played they had in the viewing room, they were showing, like, that's how I got to watch Colin Baker and such, was at cons, because they weren't showing that on PBS, at least in the DC and Baltimore area, they were not. So I think the closest they got to the modern era, was mostly the 5 Doctors, and then they started back, hey, it's Robot once again.
Yeah. And after watching most of this season, I can understand why.
Yeah, it's probably a wise production
I was going to
decision.
say, is it? It was that long before you got to watch it, or before you had to watch it?
Right.
Well, tonight was the night I had to watch it.
Yeah. I've made no bones about it. I am not a John Nathan Turner guy. And so, knowing that, I'm going to try to review this as best as I can. But yeah, this is not my Doctor Who. This is not my favorite era. This is not my showrunner. I know a lot of people out there love this time period, and this is their Doctor. And all power to them. It's just not mine at all. So it is amazing how different this is compared to what I usually associate with Doctor Who.
Well, it's interesting because for me, it was, before the new series came back, or came on, I should say, Sylvester was my Doctor. I loved Sylvester from the moment I saw him for the first time. It was just something about his charisma, his attitude. He became my Doctor. Before that, it was Tom. But, I just felt like he captured what the Doctor should be, especially as he started getting darker and darker as his run went on.
And that makes a lot of sense. Since you started with Dragonfire, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so it was interesting to see this where he was very light, but he still was kind of one step ahead of everybody else in this. And that's what we found interesting.
You could see they're still working out the character.
Yeah, when they wrote it, they had no idea who was going to be playing the Doctor.
Yeah.
So,
in fact, I got the feeling that they were kind of thinking of Colin Baker, really, because with the red Kangs and the blue Kangs and all that stuff, the Doctor with his multicolored coat would have been, you know what I mean? It would have been the Kang that brought them all together, right? I mean,
the Doctor who would be Kang,
right?
Yeah,
it's going to be the Kang.
Yeah. Well, now. See, you just made this story like 1,000 times better by just that simple thing. And look, my problem is not with Sylvester at all. I do enjoy his performance as the Doctor. He is great to watch, even in this early stage. I think he's fun to watch, and I just sorry that it's packaged with all this other stuff that I don't care for.
Well, the writing is terrible.
Oh, it is, but
and a lot of the acting is terrible.
Yes, the whole thing with the cannibal grannies.
Oh my God! Okay, so
I love them.
What is what were they doing with this episode? Was it West Side Story? Was it Arsenic and Oral Lace? What was going on with
Hansel and Gretel?
Yeah,
Hansel and
exactly. Gretel. And you know what I'll say to that? Yes.
Yes. And the entire time, my only note for this entire episode is try not to overthink it, right? Because Pex he's supposed to have been a coward because he didn't go off to war, right? But he's roughly the same age as the kids that are now in their 20s. So how long ago did everybody...
You assume.
Yeah, we assume. So how long ago did everybody leave? And how quickly did their culture completely disintegrate to a Lord of the Flies kind of, we're Rezzies, not residents. We're, Kangs, not kids. I mean, it takes language a long time to devolve that way. And yet it seems like Pex, was expected to have gone off to war, which means, and he's not that old. So it must have happened recently. But, don't try to think about it,
Yeah, none of it makes sense.
No.
Well, and the older Rezzies, Tabby and Tilda do say that they do remember when it was a better place.
Right.
Before it went downhill. So we know it was in their lifetime.
Well, this was supposed to take place in the 22nd century, so it's not even that far off.
No.
But, back to 1987, it was a long way off and everything. Because, it's just interesting to see that.
I don't think it's on Earth, though, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think so.
Did
so.
they say it's on Earth? Because I got the impression that it was not, but it could just be me.
All the description says the Seventh Doctor and Mel, looking for a swimming pool, land in Paradise Tower, a luxurious 22nd century high-rise apartment building now fallen into disrepair and chaos. It's divided between the caretakers who maintain the building and roaming gangs of young girls called the Kangs, grouped in color themes. And the Doctor and Mel encounter The Red Kangs. Ooh.
Yes. For those following along on Wikipedia, yeah, you can just scroll down to the next section.
Exactly, because we'll be that's how we're going to be paying attention about this thing.
No, I just got the impression, like in the beginning, because Mel's looking at a pool. It's somewhere. I don't know. She can't use the pool on the TARDIS because it's leaking or something, right?
No, they
jettison it.
Yeah.
Oh, they jettison it. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, he must got it back.
Multiple times he's adjusted.
Yeah, they're always getting rid of the pool.
Because I remember for energy that he did. I think it was in what was it? Was it Castrovalva or something like that era?
It was I think it was the Fifth Doctor.
Had to get rid of had to get rid of Romana's room and everything like that, if I remember correctly.
It's not even that great a pool that she wants to get to. I mean, it's not even, at least it looks like the Holiday Inn.
With killer crabs.
I know.
Yes, with added crab.
And do you really want to trust spam that makes it all the way into the TARDIS? I mean, that's your warning right there that you're headed for trouble. This story is so confused and so disjointed. It's just really hard to follow half the time, right? Because is the caretaker the problem? The chief caretaker, is it but then there's this other thing that's in the basement that and all that stuff. And why build luxury apartments but you have to kill everyone who ever lives in them? I mean, there's just way too much going on.
And none of it makes sense.
No. The only part that I thought was great was Sylvester McCoy, where he makes up a rule in the rule book in order to confuse the guards and be able to...
Oh, that was so classic.
Yeah, that's classic Doctor right there, And so I enjoyed that part.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I enjoyed Sylvester all the way around. I mean, he was really fun to watch.
Yes.
Mel was okay.
She sat around. She sat around for 2 episodes and eating cookies and crumpets.
Yeah, I mean, my expectations for Mel are so incredibly low that.
Well, can someone explain? Maybe you guys know more than I know about the background for Mel. I mean, I know she's supposed to be a computer programmer with a photographic memory and everything, but they ended up. The realization of that character looked more like a fitness freak, more than anything else. They didn't know how to incorporate her skills or her background, and it's classic BBC. We need the Doctor needs a robot companion, so we'll make sure it can't work in a gravel pit because 90% of our episodes film in a gravel pit. So now we've created a companion that can't possibly leave the TARDIS. Okay, that's great. We're going to create a companion. She'll be great. She'll be modern. She'll be hip. What's hip? Oh, computers. Okay, she does something with computers, but in every episode, not a single chance do you see her use any of those skills. It just seems weird, right? I mean, what was the original plan for this character?
I don't think there was an original plan.
No.
I mean, that's the problem with all of these. This whole season is that it's just kind of, it's like they were making it up as they went along, and they weren't good at it at all.
Yeah, it's just weird because, I mean, if you wanted that character, you could have created that character, right? I mean, something,
I mean, she could have been.
I mean, we have to think back.
Why she couldn't have been a good character.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that in 1987, most computer programmers wore a suit and tie and worked for Mac Bell. I mean, it's kind of, a computer was something that filled a room.
And I hate not to sound sexist, but having a woman as a computer programmer at the time was almost unheard of.
Right. So, I mean, it could have been great for her to be a trailblazer that way, right?
Yes.
So, but they didn't. But they, they created all this background and did the exact opposite. I mean, it's just weird. So,
I kind of feel like that's exactly it, though. They said, "Hey, here's this progressive modern woman." And that's as far as they were able to push it.
Hey,
hey, here she is. This is her background.
Because they had
I'm sure part of that was maybe we should have had some modern women in the writing room.
Yeah.
Good point. But it's interesting too because all she did basically when she was like, if she was a computer programmer, she kind of would have figured out the elevator controls or something.
Right? Yeah.
It was just like, really.
She was settled with Pex. I mean, she was probably so annoyed she couldn't think up anything like that. Because there was another nothing character that just didn't need to be there. I think he was supposed to be sort of like a tongue-in-cheek. The hero in the fairy tale is, the one who supposedly takes care of the woman, and so they thought, well, we'll make her more modern by her having to save herself.
Yeah, and or with Pex, I don't know what they were trying to do, talking about how it's difficult to go to war and how not everybody who gets drafted wants to go. They could have, talked about that. They could have. I mean, there's a lot of different things that they could have done with Pex, but I don't know.
But they just didn't. Yeah.
I mean, they tried to do something with having him be the one to save everybody in the end and sacrifice his life, and all that sort of stuff. So there's that going on too.
It wasn't earned in any way, though.
No,
I mean, it almost looks like he trips.
Yeah, it's true. I think, and it's supposed to be like a powerful moment, but they've dehumanized all the other killings in sort of this Sweeney Toddish kind of way.
Well, they play it for laughs with the feet sticking out.
You just see these things like these cleaners, these huge cleaners that look awful, and with legs sticking out of them, signifying that another person's dying. But you don't really like, unlike Sweeney Todd, you don't feel the deaths. You don't feel that things are really evil going afoot here, and yet, really, literally. It just doesn't work because it's got this candy coating over it. I think that's the issue with Mel. You take a character like that, how serious can she be? And this is going to sound like a slam, but how serious can she be? How can you take her seriously when she's played by Bonnie Langford? And the reason why I say that is because Bonnie Langford is she's one of those child actors that never kind of gets over the child acting part. Like, she's always acting like she's in a children's show. And maybe she's got more depth, but at this point in her career, she's not showing it. She looks like a kid. She looks like a little girl in this. Like
they dress her like a little girl.
Exactly.
Oh, very much so.
They dress her she acts like a little girl. She doesn't add anything to it. And it just, and I think that's kind of a bummer about her entire run, as far as all the ones I've seen with her.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And Ace, who comes next, is almost fully realized.
Oh my God, yeah.
From the day
what a difference, yeah.
Well, if you remember, because the next storyline is what Delta and the Bannermen is the next one.
That's another awful one.
Yes, but they introduced a really interesting character.
The mechanic.
Exactly, who they were trying to figure out to see if she could be the new companion. But then they had hired Ace, the actress to play Ace at the same time. And so they ended up writing the other character off because she would have made a great companion too compared to Mel. But then again, one of the other characters in this episode probably would have been better.
One of the Kings.
One of the Kings would Red King Leader 1.
Ben Liner.
Yeah. Or Fire Escape or something, would have been better than Mel. So.
Yeah. And everything, regarding Mel aside, taking everything else into account, like that I don't particularly care for, the writing, the characters, the acting, the performance, the companion of Mel, and the other actors as well, and the color scheme and the music, everything just annoys me in this. And but chief among it, standing out at the top, spacebar, all to the next thing, is the performance of the chief caretaker by Richard Pryor. It is so.
God.
It is
horrible.
It might be the single worst performance I've ever seen in a story of Doctor Who.
And he's not normally a bad actor. I've seen him in many things.
Really? I don't.
Yeah.
I can't think of.
He's been in tons of different things.
I've probably seen him in stuff, but it's unrecognizable in this because he's just so awful.
Oh yeah, he's terrible. Even worse when he gets taken.
I was
over.
about to say the same thing, Mary.
yeah. You think he can't get worse, and then he's taken over.
Hold my coffee.
And you're like, yeah. And this made his mustache grow. Like he goes from having a Hitler mustache to a porn stash. Yeah. And then just zombies it up and it's just
you had to know
awful.
The head architect was a fan of Magnum, so
I guess so.
He wanted the Tom Selleck mustache, and he got it.
And bad guys always have a thicker mustache and or beard.
That's true. Didn't you know that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a rule.
Yeah, it's funny though. So many people. I was reading on Wikipedia. So many people were, approached for the different roles, and so many people turned them down.
That was. I'm sure they were thinking they're lucky stars if they ever watch this thing.
They were smart, but it's our loss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it would have been very interesting to see. The effects were horrible in this one, and
the production values were just terrible.
It was just like. It was garbage, no pun intended, but it was just like everything in this story was just over the top bad. And, and I thought, when we saw the Candyman or we saw, Time in the Ronnie was the episode before this. And
Time in the Ronnie looks good now, doesn't it? Huh? Yeah.
3 winners in a row.
Oh, exactly. And it's just like, wow, this is just bad. And I'm glad they got them over with and through this season, because the next seasons had gotten so much better.
Yeah. It's a whole different world, really.
Yeah. And I don't even want to say once Ace came on board, it wasn't even that. It was just the stories got better. The writing got better.
Well, the writing got better, yeah. But still, Ace I think Ace made a big difference. The chemistry between her and Sylvester.
100%.
Amazing. There was no real chemistry between Bonnie and Sylvester. No. I'm sad to say it.
No, you're absolutely right.
But Bonnie was also...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Bonnie and Sylvester were thrown together because she was a carry-off from, Colin's, lost seasons and stuff, because, she was supposed to be Colin's companion because, after Trial of the Time Lord, she was brought in at the very end of it. And basically, there were supposed to be adventures with the two of them, which you hear on Big Finish now, but you don't get to, don't get really to see that. And so basically, when they fired when they fired Colin, they basically brought in Sylvester and, just threw the two of them together. And so she was also at a bad place too. And I don't blame her completely. Because it was...
No. You can't blame her for the
writing.
That's exactly what I was about to say. So
and she proves that with the Big Finish stuff.
Well, so does Colin.
Because she's brilliant there.
Yeah. Colin's much better on Big Finish.
Yeah.
But it just shows you it all comes back to the writing, because I think they could have got away with the production values and maybe even some of the terrible acting, except for the chief caretaker, who was just awful. but if there was better writing, it would have at least been a middle of the road episode instead of a terrible episode.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure how much of it is Stephen Wyatt's fault, because, we know that, once these scripts are written, they don't get filmed as is, right? There's a lot of changes he goes through. Mm-hmm. So we don't know if a lot of his original vision, because deep down in this, if you could remake this, it could be really, really powerful and interesting, because the kernel of the story about Paradise Towers and the fact that it's a statement against, all the high rise and the apartment situation, the housing situation in Britain in the 80s, and the fact that, companies were more interested in making cheaper buildings for people to live in. Even they didn't really care about the people. They're making buildings and they don't care about the people. Obviously this sketch is done. This is much done better on the architect sketch in Monty Python. But it is, it is here. There's that kernel of it. Also the groups are there as well. But I think they could have definitely done something a bit more interesting with the idea, but obviously it just turns out to be a candy-coated mess.
Yeah. How much of that is, though, that it just doesn't hold up? Because you pointed out a whole bunch of legitimate issues of the day that are not, not that they're non-existent, but in context, we don't have that same context watching it now that they would have at the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's it's the job of a good writer to make sure it is relevant. It seems relevant, so that also it doesn't alienate people. And yeah, I mean that draws a bad thing. The one of the reasons why I'm sort of impressed by the kernel of it is that I think we've talked about it before, but there's a company out there called Cutaway Comics. And they recently, they've been doing Doctor Who-ish comics. They've got a line of comics that has to do with sort of these, they can't use the Doctor, obviously. And they can't use some of the characters, but they can tell other stories. Like they have a story on Omega. And I think the audio is voiced by Brian Blessed.
Oh, wow.
They have some stories that take place on the Happiness Patrol planet. They've got a comic story about Eldrad from Hand of Fear. And recently they just did a Kickstarter for Paradise Tower series, which takes place about maybe more like 10 or 15 years after the events of this story. And the first issue was just released this past month, and right after I watched this, I read the first issue of the comic, and the comic is actually pretty engaging, and it takes place on the same world. It takes place. One of the main character is the daughter, and it's not really explained how this happens, but she's the daughter of I think Bin Lighter and Firescape. They're a couple. And she, there's some mysterious things going on in once again, with the architect and all that kind of stuff. And, it's really engaging. And I do encourage people to check it out if they like Paradise Towers. I mean, if they liked Paradise Towers and they've gotten this far in this review, I give them a lot of credit because they have a lot of patience with us, but, seek that out. Even if you don't like Paradise Towers, read this. I encourage people to read this comic because it's actually takes the story and tells it in the same world, the same environment, but in a much more compelling way.
What was the company again?
The company is called Cutaway Comics. CUTA.
We'll have a link to it in our show notes too.
Yeah. And I definitely they do audios too. And I've just really discovered them within the last few months when this Kickstarter started for Paradise Towers. Now it is sort of not co-written, but the writer of the episode, Stephen Wyatt, right? Stephen Wyatt, right? Stephen Wyatt, right? Yes. He consulted on the comic, but he didn't actually write the story. So maybe that may be
why it's good.
Exactly. That's probably good. Yeah. It did tell me oh my God, really cool, story could be told in this environment. They just didn't do it in this serial.
Well, it's not the premise isn't bad. Right. I mean, the whole idea of these, of this tower that's where people have basically been culled for war, and then these are just the ones that got left behind, and nobody's come back to help them, and everything's fallen into disarray, and the kids have grown up without parents and all of that. I mean, you could do a lot with that.
Well, exactly.
There's all kinds of good material there, but it was not realized.
Yeah, look at what New Who did with the traffic freeway episode.
Oh yeah.
Very much so. But if you think about it, the Kangs were basically the Lost Boys from Peter Pan.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so
Except they're like, gender swap.
Exactly. Well, duh. Yes. Well, and it was interesting because all the boys went to war and the girls started the gangs. And so it was just really, really interested, and they were being picked off one by one.
Yeah, I expect New Who to make some sort of passing reference someday. It'll be a war in a future episode, and they'll be talking about how new recruits are coming from some Paradise Towers or something like that to connect it back somehow and make it relevant or something like that.
You would hope.
Yeah.
Or
But,
better,
you
better
see,
nothing
like,
said than better.
On a wall right next to the graffiti of Bad Wolf, it'll say Pex lives.
Right, exactly. When Mike was talking about the fanzine of doing a better job, I was thinking that if you really what I would do is I would kind of reimagine it kind of like Dana's building in Ghostbusters, right? The architect of that building was some sort of demonic thing that was causing all the heck. You could do it kind of like that, and that would be all super scary. Well, until Bill Murray shows up, but then
Yeah. Now I don't have a lot of historic merch and such. Have any of you guys seen or read the actual novelization of this? Because this was the first one back into the episode novelizations.
Oh wow! And I know Stephen White did the novelization.
Yes.
So I would be curious to see if that's any better.
Yeah, and because they definitely expanded a few little bits and pieces in it, from what I can tell, but I've never read it to be able to compare. And they came out with they re-released it a couple of times, not really recently, but they relaunched it in the 90s. They brought it back out too in a second edition of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, at one time, I had all the different Target novelizations that they did, and it was collected all the way through college, and then realized, hey, I need money, so I sold my collection. Yeah, details.
Boo.
I know.
Yeah, money,
money, silly thing like that. But the novelization of this, I had forgotten that I had read it, and then halfway during watching this, oh yeah, that's this one, and so it's just and then I saw
it wasn't good there either. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't. So it was interesting because a lot of the newer Doctors of the old series I read before I got to see any of their episodes.
Mm.
So I read the novelizations because those were put out even here in the States, and I was able to get through comic shops, or B. Dalton was able to special order them and stuff like that. Yes, I said B. Dalton for those young folks. That was called a bookstore, kids. So, yes, it was real interesting to see being able to read those. And seeing it up on the screen didn't make it much better. So, sorry to say.
I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt.
I know you did. You did a good job.
Was
Thumbs
anybody else also bothered by the product placement by Fizzade? I've never seen product placement on Doctor Who before, but it was like Fizzade was everywhere.
Oh, and the vending machines.
Yeah,
and they were all drinking it, talking about how good it was and everything. I'm like, oh wow, we've got a nice little
hot cold.
Ice hot. Ice hot.
Yeah, that's it. I was like, oh god, this. Yeah, it was interesting. Do we want to keep on tearing this apart, or do we want to go ahead and rate this? So, Dave, you got to go first. 1 out of 5 TARDISes. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best.
Why do I feel like I'm going to be the generous one in all of this?
That's why I let you go first.
Well, thank you. I'll say 2.5. You can kind of brain dead watch this, and it's not bad. But yeah,
okay. Yeah, okay. Dr. Scott.
Yeah, I'll agree. 2.5. It's my appreciation of Sylvester McCoy and what he will eventually be, and and the echoes of that here.
Nope, agreed. Mary?
Oh boy.
I mean, you got to give his umbrella an extra half.
I'm actually going to go higher than most people think I am. I'm going to give it a 2 because, and it's solely Sylvester that makes the 2, because Sylvester is actually really fun to watch in this. He's not quite fully formed, but it's kind of fun to see him working out what to do with the character, and that part's kind of fascinating, even if he has just nothing to work with as far as the writing goes. Everything else about this is terrible. The acting, the production values, the writing, it's bad. But though, I mean, I don't know, you can watch it in a kind of Sharknado kind of way, It's like
exactly.
It's
hey,
so
don't be mean
it.
to Sharknado. Come on.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go higher than a 2.
Okay, Mikey.
I was really struggling with with giving this like really, really like a 1. And I raised it to a 2, partially because of what raised it for Mary was just Sylvester, of course. And also, believe it or not, this is one of those situations where sometimes the outside material helps lift the original material. And after reading the comic series, or the first issue anyway, it kind of made me appreciate Paradise Towers more, because you have to, in order to enjoy the comic, I think you really have to unfortunately, you have to watch Paradise Towers to understand some of the stuff that's going on, what they're referring to, and get some of the references. I hate to put that on anybody, but I think at least it elevates it, and it shows that it's it's unfortunate, but there is some decent material here, even if it's not presented very well.
Okay. All right. I was going to give this a 3, but I'm going to knock it down to 2.5 because there were no spoons in this episode. I was really hoping that Sylvester would have played the spoons at least once, but didn't get it. Really didn't get it. So, knocking it down to 2.5. Sylvester brought it up from a 2 because I love Sylvester. He was great. He was the best thing about this.
Oh yeah, by far.
Oh yeah.
And everything. And I had a friend of mine who has a phobia about swimming pools. After seeing the scene with the crabs or whatever those giant metal things were, I don't think she would ever go back into a swimming pool again. So.
Really? I didn't think that was that effective at all.
It's actually not the first time I've heard
that. We couldn't even drown the poor thing,
Yeah.
Which they should
Mel was literally like hanging on it to like help her to like stay buoyant.
Exactly. She was like trying to keep her afloat, and her hair wasn't even that big of a wreck when she got out of the pool.
It was instantly dry.
Exactly. Well, it is the 22nd century. They have like.
I didn't realize she was wearing
self-drying hair.
I was kind of surprised she's been wearing a swimming suit this whole time. I didn't know that.
A polka dot swimming pool. No. So it was, I really wanted to try to like this one. I was like, Judy was like watching it with me, and she was just like, wow, this is bad. This is really bad. And it's like, this is Doctor Who at the beginning of the end, as I called it for her. She said, what do you mean by that? And it's like, and so I had to explain that the series only lasted 2 more seasons, and that was it for the old series. And, I'll miss it. I'm glad I watched it. Definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Is this better than watching a Chris Chibnall episode? Please let us know.
It helped prepare us for the new season, because now our expectations are so low.
It can only go up from here.
Yeah. Any criticism that I have about Chibnall, I have to now go, in relation, I guess it's not so bad.
Exactly. And definitely write us. Feedback at ourstationwho.com. We definitely would love to hear from you guys, to hear what you guys thought about this one. Please let us know. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Dave, You want to tell everyone a little bit about where they could find you?
Easiest place to find everything for the rathole.ca is we have a link tree. So it's linktr.ee/therathole.ca. You've got all of our social media and website for all of the board game reviews you could possibly want.
Excellent, sir. And you also do pop up on Legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
I do, and we've got an episode right almost immediately. I think it's an hour after after Jody's episode on right bang.
Exactly. That is awesome. And so definitely thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Oh, not a problem. We'll have you back again. Maybe for a better
Yay.
one. Yeah, we'll see.
This was punishment because it was so bad the last time. I get it. It's okay.
And Scott, thank you for joining us, even though the visitation, I don't know.
I think we're square now.
Yeah. I think we're even, my friend. We think we're even. Anything you want to promote or shout out about, sir?
Oh, no, nothing at all. Not at the moment. Just looking forward to the new episodes.
Excellent. And, of course, Mary Ogle, where can people find you?
They can find me at my artwork at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Yay. And Mr. Mike Gordon.
As always, it's my pleasure. Even if the episode is not to my liking, it's always fun talking about it with you guys.
Oh, it is. It is. And we actually just celebrated Earth Station 1, episode 600.
This week. Yeah, so I'm a little hungover from the celebration last night. So I could have explained why I'm not really,
That's why you didn't like the episode, folks. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So we were celebrating Earth Station 1, and then you decided to carry on and drink and watch this episode. So
it didn't help.
No, not at all. But, folks, thank you for listening. As always, please join up in the Facebook group if you get a chance. We definitely would love to see you up there. And until next time, which is just a week away, we are going to be back with the Halloween apocalypse. Woo! We will see you. Peace. And we are done. Boom.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.